Hello, art students. Today we are going to do the underpainting for our Impressionist painting, Impressionist inspired painting. On your assignment on your Schoology site, I posted a photo of a still life with sunflowers. And what I'd like you to do is just gesture that out. You want to gesture it out on a piece of your paper, so your sketchbook paper, or if you'd rather do this on a canvas and you have a canvas, you can sketch it out on your canvas. But sketch it out using a gesture drawing and make sure you're taking up a good 80% of the page space. So you can see my gesture drawing here. Remember, you should be able to gesture this out in about 15 minutes to make sure you've got a good composition. And if you're not happy with your composition, you've only wasted 15 minutes and you can erase it and start again. So after you have your drawing, your gesture drawing done, then we're going to do something called underpainting. And we're going to do some underpainting here using complementary colors. I posted a color wheel on your assignment so that you can see it. Complementary colors are two colors that are across from each other on the color wheel. And when I say across, I mean like you go straight across. It has nothing to do with the lines that are there for the triads. So you would go straight across through the middle, and like you would be folding the color wheel in half. So we're going to just do some quick underpainting here. And this is helpful with creating depth in your painting. So we're going to be using a different technique when we're doing applying our paint later on for the Impressionist style. And we may have bits and pieces of area show through. And rather than see our white paper show through those little dabs and dots that we're going to be making, it is nice to be able to see a color. And when we have a complementary color, it tends to give the feeling of more depth in your painting. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to start doing some underpainting. And this does not have to be neat by any means. We're not going to be doing any shading or value or anything. This is just going to be flat painting. So I'm not going to do my whole painting, but I'm going to let you see enough so that you can get the gist of what you need to be doing. All right, so the vase is green. So if you look on your color wheel, what would the opposite of green be? If you look across that, the complementary color for green would be red. So that means we would be painting our vase red instead of green. So I'm just going to give a quick coat of this. This does not need to be something that you spend a lot of time on. Really, you should be able to get your underpainting done in a class period, at most 2 class periods. I'm just going to quickly paint this. You want to try to stay in the lines, of course, but it does not need to be, the kind of craftsmanship that I'm usually looking for. All right, so we now have put an undercoat of red on our vase, which will end up being green later on. So I'm going to wash my brush out. All right, so the cloth, we want to make sure we're painting the cloth. What color is the cloth in the picture? It is like a burgundy color, so it's like a red violet. So if you look on the color wheel, the opposite of red violet would be a yellow green color. So what I'm going to do is mix up a yellow green. So I'm going to take some blue, take some yellow. Now that gives us a beautiful green, but I want to make it yellow green, so I'm going to add more yellow to this. And then I'm going to paint out my area, the cloth area, with this yellow green color. This is a different kind of thinking, I know, than you're used to painting, because we're thinking in complements. But remember, all of this is going to be covered up later on. So we don't need to worry about that right now. This will all be covered up with our actual colors later on. And you know, if you've looked at the assignment, you can see some examples of what this is going to look like when we're finished. This is just like the first beginning steps. All right, it's not very neat at all, but it serves the purpose, okay? So we're just getting some color on there. All right, so that's their yellow-green. So for the background, we're not going to worry about all that background that's in there, you know, that's in the picture, but I would like you to do a blue background because I feel the blue might look really nice with our painting. So the opposite of blue would be what on the color wheel? I hope you guessed orange. So the opposite of blue on the color wheel is orange. So we are going to make an orange for the background. I'm going to take some yellow. Remember, red is a very dominant color, so it will not take very much red at all to turn our yellow orange. So very, very little red goes a long way. So I'm just going to go ahead and give this a quick coat of yellow. Try to get in between my flower petals. And I'm just going to go through here and give this a quick coating. If I weren't videoing this, it would take me more time to do this, but I'm trying to do this really quick so that we can get you to the next stage. If you run out of paint, which I am about to, you can just mix yourself up another little batch. The Impressionist painters painted outside in the natural light, and they tried to paint relatively quickly. I'm going to mix myself up another little batch. They tried to paint relatively quickly to show the effects of the sunlight on the different objects so that it would make it look like the light was dancing around. So you've already watched the video about Impressionism. So we're going to do our version. It's okay if you go over these flower petals because remember, we are going to be painting all of this with several layers of paint, and we can see through our orange, so that will work well too. So it's okay if you get it on your flower petals. Remember this, we're just trying to cover the canvas right now, or your sketchbook page, whatever you're using. We are not worried about accuracy right now. We're just trying to cover using some underpainting of complementary colors. All right, so I think I got that pretty well covered. All right, so we've got a couple things left here. We've got a leaf. The leaves would be green. So what would the complement of a green be? Red. Correct, red. So we are going to paint the leaves out red. Use my smaller brush so that I get here a little bit more detail. And I have a leaf back in here. And I'm going to go ahead and paint my stems red because they will end up being green also. All right, so that's what we've got going on so far. All right, so next would be our petals. Our flower petals are yellow in the picture. So what color will we make those as a complementary color? I hope you answered violet or purple. So we're going to mix ourselves up some violet. Remember how we make our violet. And I'm going to just put some violet down here. You need to be a little bit more careful here with our petals so that they do look like petals. You should be able to see through the orange paint, so that won't be a problem. So we're just going to paint out our petals. We only need to do one coat of this complementary color underpainting. It doesn't need to be very thick. It doesn't need to be super neat. We're not worried about the brush stroke showing and all that stuff like we are usually on our finished paintings. So we're just going to quickly come in here and paint out the petals. Remember guys, as you're watching this, I know it's going to take you longer to do this than I am. I hope it does. It means you're taking your time on it. So you can pause this video and it can go at your own pace. All right, so I've got some petals over here. I may need to mix up just a little bit more. Get me through. All right, so now I've done my petals. So now as you can see what that looks like. All right, so I've got my little apple down here. Yeah, so the apple is yellow on one side and red on the other. So the complement of yellow is violet. So I'm just going to put some violet on this side. And then the complement of red is green. So I'm just going to use the green that I already have mixed up here. And I'm going to put the green on this side. And so now the only thing we have left is the center of our flowers. We have underpainted everything else. Now the flower centers are a brown color. We don't really have a complement for brown because brown is not on the one of the 12 colors going around the color wheel. So I just want you to put an underpainting of something on there. You can use whatever color you want. I think I'm just going to use some blue because I have a lot of blue here. So the complementary colors don't really have any, or the neutral colors don't really have a complement, but you just need to put something down there, and that is still going to give a lot of depth when we're finished. And this, I hope, will all make sense as we go along this and as we go along these videos. I'm hoping that this all makes sense to you. All right, so what we have accomplished today is we gestured out our still life so that it took up 80% of the page. And then we learned about complementary colors, and we did some underpainting of complementary colors for our painting. Stay tuned for the next time and we'll learn more about Impressionist painting.